All right, let's dive in. If you're building software today, you know things have gotten, well, complicated. We're not just living on one cloud anymore. We're trying to make multiple environments work together. In this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful strategy to tame that chaos. It's the multi-cloud SaaS playbook.
So it really all starts with this one question, right? Why is everything so hard now? The short answer is that we want the best of everything. We want the best database from one provider, the slickest machine learning tools from another, but picking the best of breed like that, well, it creates a huge coordination problem.
I think this analogy nails it. The old way, building on a single cloud, was like hiring one construction crew that you trust. Everyone's working off the same blueprint. Simple. But the new multi-cloud reality? That's like trying to build a house with 3 different crews who all speak different languages and use different measurement systems. How on earth do you get them to build one single, coherent house out of that chaos?
And that brings us right to our first section, the multi-cloud puzzle. We have to figure out how to piece all these different environments together. Your AWS, your Azure, your Google Cloud, without it turning into a complete and utter operational nightmare.
So what's the solution? Well, this is where specialized software as a service, or SaaS, products come into the picture. They basically act like a universal translator for all our different construction crews, creating one consistent way of working across every single cloud.
Let's get really specific, though. We're talking about something called architectural SaaS. Think of these as purpose-built services that create a consistent control plane. It's like having a universal remote control for a critical part of your system, like user identity or monitoring, and it works no matter which cloud your app is actually running on.
So what kind of jobs are these SaaS connectors really good at? Well, they shine at things that absolutely need to be universal. You only want one way for users to log in, right? You want one dashboard to see if your systems are healthy, and one place to analyze your data no matter where it came from.
The fundamental pattern here is actually super simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You centralize that control layer with a SaaS tool, but your actual applications, the workloads themselves, they stay decentralized, running in whatever cloud makes the most sense. This gives you the best of both worlds, consistency and flexibility.
All right, that's enough theory. Let's look at a real-world blueprint and actually see how the data flows in practice. This is where it all clicks.
So, picture this. Step 1. A user tries to log in. Now, instead of building a whole separate login system for your app on AWS and another one for your app on Azure, the request just gets sent to a single identity service, something like Auth0. It handles all the authentication and then tells both clouds, hey, this user is good to go. It's instantly so much simpler.
Okay, next. As your apps are running, they're spitting out tons of health data. Logs, metrics, all that stuff. Instead of trying to juggle a bunch of different monitoring tools, all that data just flows into one central observability platform, like Datadog. And just like that, you have a single pane of glass to see the health of your entire system. Everywhere.
And finally, you've got your business data. It doesn't matter if it was generated on AWS or Azure, it all gets piped into a central analytics platform like Snowflake. This creates a single, unified system of record, which makes it dramatically easier to actually understand what's going on across your entire business.
This all sounds pretty great, doesn't it? And you know what? It is. But it's not a free lunch. This whole approach involves a really critical strategic trade-off. So let's break down both the incredible benefits and the very real bill that comes with them.
The benefits are, well, they're pretty compelling. You get to offload the massive operational burden of running these complex systems yourself, which means your team can move way faster. You get that instant cross-cloud visibility and consistent tools for everyone, and you abstract away all the tedious little differences between the cloud providers. So here it is, the central trade-off, plain and simple. On one side, you get speed, simplicity, and consistency, but on the other side, you're introducing new dependencies on third-party vendors, and that can come with hidden costs and, yep, the risk of getting locked into their ecosystem.
And let's talk about one of those hidden costs that can really bite you, data egress fees. Cloud providers charge you money just to move data out of their network. So every single log, every metric, every piece of data you send to your SaaS provider has a price tag on it. And believe me, it can add up fast.
And it's not just about the money either. You're adding new network hops between services, which can add latency. Your system's uptime is now literally tied to your vendor's uptime. And if you have strict rules about where your data is allowed to live, managing compliance across multiple vendors suddenly gets very, very tricky.
So the big question is, how do we use this powerful pattern without falling flat on our face? Well, this last section is all about architectural wisdom for the real world, how to make these decisions smartly.
Here are the biggest mistakes I see teams make over and over. They treat SaaS like it's this magical free abstraction without really understanding the costs. They completely failed to plan for what happens when their SaaS provider inevitably has an outage. And the big one, they don't even think about an exit strategy until it's way too late.
To help you decide, try using a framework like this one. If moving fast is your absolute top priority and you need that consistent tooling, SaaS is a fantastic choice. But if the service is absolutely mission critical and you need total control, or maybe if a provider's own native tool is just plain better or cheaper, you might want to think about building or hosting it yourself.
And I think this quote just nails the main takeaway. Integrating a SaaS provider isn't just buying a tool off a shelf. You're entering a strategic partnership. You're literally coupling your system's fate to theirs. You have to do your homework, understand the terms, and choose your partners wisely.
Which really leaves us with the one fundamental question that you have to answer for your own project. In your corner of the cloud, what is ultimately more valuable? The incredible speed you get from letting someone else handle the complexity, or the absolute control you get from owning it yourself? The right answer for you is what's going to define your entire architecture.